So as they say on TikTok, it's story time. So I want to talk about my worst DoorDash experiences. And now that I look back at them, they're kind of funny, but at the time it was super frustrating. And if you stay till the end, I'll give you a bonus experience that I had while working with GrubHub. So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and get ready to laugh at my pain. Also, if you have had any crazy DoorDash experiences or anything like that, leave them in the comments so we can all see them and maybe we'll all get a laugh together. So the first one I want to talk about is a person named Randy. And I still remember his name because I was so frustrated with this person. So I don't remember what the restaurant was or where it was exactly. But I got this order, I went and I picked it up, and the destination to deliver was really close to the restaurant, so I thought that was pretty cool. So I went to deliver it, and it was probably about 9 o'clock at night. And it said that the destination was a car dealership on a really busy street. So I went, I couldn't find a parking spot. Eventually I found a parking spot halfway down the street. So I parked, and I texted him, told him that I was there and that I was getting ready to deliver the food, and no response. And I had also texted him as I was leaving the restaurant like I normally did and told him who I was, introduced myself, said that I had just picked up his food and I was on the way. Still hadn't heard any response. So I get to the car dealership where it said to deliver it, and all the lights were off in the whole building except for one in the very back, and this was kind of in a not so nice part of town, and so it was kind of a rundown old dealership. So I wandered all over that dealership, through the parking lot, all sorts of stuff, and went to multiple different buildings trying to figure out where I could possibly drop this off at. And mind you, this was also before DoorDash had any take a picture, show me where you left it, or anything like that. And so it was still kind of complicated. So I texted him, I called him, I tried getting a hold of him, all these different things, and I could not get a hold of him. And so I was trying to find a place in this dealership to leave it, nor close to a door or anything like that. And finally, I just left it by the door and tried to take a picture so that I could text him and show him where it was. And as I was leaving, I got a phone call. So I answered it. He said, "Hi, this is Randy. I ordered from DoorDash and I just saw your text messages." He said, I'm actually at home. That's at work, and I didn't change my address. Would you mind bringing it to my house?" I said, that's okay, and I can do that for you. So he texted me his address, and it ended up being like 20 minutes away. So I drove all the way out to his house, gave him his food, and he said, "Okay, thanks, good night." And so then I left, and I was out of my dashing area. So I had to close my dash and then restart a new one. And then I also tried to contact DoorDash and let them know the situation. And they made up some big excuse that they didn't know if I was actually delivering or not. And the worst part about it was Randy didn't even give me a tip. So thanks, Randy. I really appreciate that. So yeah, it ended up being a huge ordeal, and I ended up losing a lot of time and all this stuff. I didn't even get paid for it, and it was a big mess. So that was probably my worst experience so far. The next one that I remember was a similar experience. I had an order that wasn't very far away from the destination, so I went and I picked it up, and then I went to the destination. The destination ended up being a hospital, and so I walked in and I went to the front desk and I asked them, "Is this person here? I have an order for them." And they said, "No, we believe that person left yesterday." So then, once again, I tried to call them, tried to contact them, couldn't figure out where they were or anything like that. And I didn't know if they were still there or not. They said that the person may have still been there, even though they thought they left. And so once again, I was trying to find a good place where I could leave it. I was going to leave it at the front desk and let them get in contact with the person. And right when I was getting ready to leave, the person called me. And they said, hey, sorry, I just had a baby and we left yesterday. Would you be willing to drive the order to my house? And so I said, okay. And I actually had this order before I had the order for Randy. So I didn't have that bad experience on my mind or anything. So I said, okay. And I'd go out and drive it to their house. They ended up living actually in the same neighborhood as Randy. So I don't know if there's something in the water in that neighborhood and people just don't remember to change their address or their location back. But I drove all the way out there and the lady felt really bad. She had just had a baby and she just gotten home. And she was really cool about it and gave me a $20 tip. And so it was an inconvenience, and I had the same problem as I did with Randy. They told me that DoorDash told me they couldn't reimburse me or anything like that, and it put me out of my dashing area and caused all sorts of inconveniences. But I was grateful that she was at least considerate and gave me a $20 tip. So it wasn't as bad as the interaction with Randy. And I don't even remember her name because it wasn't that bad, but Randy, he really upset me. So now let's talk about the third experience. This one is a little bit different, but it was also super frustrating. So I got this order on a Friday night, and in 2019, I believe, DoorDash used to have a lot of problems on Friday nights. The app would crash a lot. So I got this order from the Cheesecake Factory, one of my least favorite places to go and pick up orders from because they're always late, they take forever, and there's always problems. So I got there, I finally found a parking spot, I went inside, and I went and I told them who I was there for, and they said that they were still waiting on the order, and so I was waiting and I was waiting, and I went to finally pick up the order, and the app had crashed. So I wasn't able to continue and I couldn't find the person's address. So I didn't know what to do and I logged out of the app, tried to log back in. It said that there was a problem, it wouldn't let me log back in. And so I tried restarting my phone, I tried uninstalling the app and reinstalling the app, I tried logging back in. Nothing was working. The app had completely crashed and it wouldn't work. So I decided, you know what, it's not worth it anymore. I'll just let them reassign this order, give it to somebody else, and I'm just going to call it a night. So I went home. Well, about an hour and a half later, I got a random text. Said, hey, my name is Melissa or something like that. She said, I was just wondering what's going on because this is taking longer than usual. And I was really confused. And I finally figured out that it was the same customer that I went to Cheesecake Factory to pick up their order, and it never gotten reassigned. So I texted them back and I explained, hey, sorry, the app crashed and I wasn't able to pick up your order and continue the order because I didn't know where your address was and how to continue. And so I tried logging into the app again. It finally worked, and when it logged me back on, it said I was still on the order. So then I canceled it so that it would reassign it, and I felt really bad that the person never got their order since it had been almost 2 hours had passed by. And I texted them, let them know that I had canceled it and hopefully it would be reassigned soon. But I felt really bad and I was super frustrated because the app crashed a lot on Fridays, but it had never crashed on me during the middle of an order. So that was probably my third worst experience. So I know that these experiences weren't crazy. I didn't get pulled over. I didn't get in any car crashes or anything like that. If you are DoorDash drivers and you've had any crazy experiences like that, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear your experiences, even though they're painful or they weren't so fun. I'd like to hear them. So the bonus experience that I wanted to talk about was one with GrubHub, actually. Now in my area, it's really hard to become a part of GrubHub because it's very competitive. They only take a certain amount of drivers, and so it was really hard to get into GrubHub. And once I finally got accepted into GrubHub, I didn't want to do anything to make them cancel me or deactivate my account or anything like that. So I got this one order and I went to a restaurant that is usually fairly busy and they're usually kind of slow, but I figured I'd give them a chance. So I went there and they told me that order will be ready in about 15 minutes. So I said, okay, I can do that. So I waited there and I watched all these other people come in and out and get their orders and leave. And so then the front desk person would say, oh, it'll be just a few more minutes. It'll be just a few more minutes. It'll be just a few more minutes. So I waited there. I looked down at the clock and realized that I'd been there for about 45 minutes. And so I asked him, I was like, hey, is this really coming out or what is it? And she looked down and said, oh, this is actually a scheduled order. And it's scheduled to be ready for 7 o'clock. And it was about 6:50-ish at the time. So I thought, okay, just a few more minutes and then it'll be out. Well, I ended up waiting probably another 30 minutes before the order was finally ready. And then I finally got the order when I was just about ready to leave. And I went and I delivered it to the guy. And the guy said, yeah, this happens to me all the time. He said, there's been times where I've waited 2 or 3 hours for my order to get here. And by the time it gets here, it's all cold and everything. And he said, so this one I tried to schedule it ahead so that hopefully they would be ready in time. And then I wouldn't have to wait forever. He said, but it looks like they still took forever again. So that was when I decided that I was no longer waiting for any orders. I would wait maybe 10 minutes because I wasted basically my whole dashing time just waiting for that stupid order. And I decided that I didn't care if I was going to lose or get deactivated with GrubHub anymore because there is no way that it was ever worth my time to do anything like that. So that was my experience. It ended up being pretty crazy and I learned a lot of stuff while doing it. But like I said, if you have any crazy experiences, anything that had happened to you like that, leave it in the comments so we can all hear it. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.